Alrighty, so this used to be a side hack. I made a bolt-on hack and it sucked so bad. I cut it up and made it work better, but I never really liked it. So somebody wanted it and I said, 50 bucks, it's yours, take it. Anyway, my plan, I don't know if it's going to work, but it's something a little more ambitious. I am going to try and build another bolt-on side hack for this Stingray and make it so it steers, the hack steers too. Now, I'm not sure I'm going to achieve my goal. Worst case scenario, you just take all the steering components off that don't work and just weld it together and you're good. So the first step, make some very robust plates. I gotta do one down here. I got this one just cut now. It's still warm in my hands. Drill a couple holes. And then from there, we're gonna be able to build off that platform. So that's the first step, is to make a couple plates, and then I have to get a donor bike, which I probably have, and just go from there. So that's the plan. That's what we're doing. Real boring. I'll just put this stuff together. If you make 2 plates, the trick is, for me at least, you're just using hand tools and you want them symmetrical as you get them together, and then you put them in your vise, and then you get a grinder with a flap wheel and you just go around and follow the edges, and then now they're the same. Because, you know, I'm just cutting this material with a cutoff wheel. It's not very accurate. We're not doing high-end machining here. Not here. I do some machining, but there's no way. So, using the trusty old Nikita grinder, it's a little wore out. I did weld like a little nub in there to get it to break loose, but then I messed it up again. So I flattened the edges of the bottom collar so I could put a pair of pliers on it and save myself the grief of buying another one. Thing was 80 bucks many years ago. Still works really good, but just a lot of wear and tear, you know. I'm gonna have to use 2 tools. This is the part you should probably fast forward. Son of a bitch. It looked easy. I saw it on YouTube. So easy. Let go, you mother. See, I'd rather suffer and be a cheap bastard than spend money and buy something new. Especially now, the way things are going. Like everyone. Times be a little lean. Doesn't mean you can't still have fun. Protect what little hearing I have left between punk rock and power tools. I'm probably half deaf by now. So it goes. Okay. Alright, so see if we could get a better... Okay, so what I like to use is some kind of cardboard. My friends like to drink. I don't drink. I've been straight edge pretty much my whole life. Not like it matters. I tried alcohol twice when I was 15, and I was like, this is dumb for me, but it doesn't make me on a higher moral plateau than anybody else, you know. It's just a personal choice, but my friends like to enjoy their beverages, and ironically my fridge is full of beer all the time because they know it will stay there, will not get drunk. But enough moralizing. This stuff works great, and any beer carton will give you the material you need for free, and if you enjoy the beverages, then double good. A pair of scissors, a Sharpie, and this is all pretty straightforward stuff. So you want to make something that's going to be 2 plates, and they're going to compress against the frame, and they have to be thin enough that the chain won't hit. The wheels and stuff I'm probably going to swap out because I'm going to take the bike apart and do a different color scheme. You want a little bit of a lip. Doesn't need to be much because this side you're just doing one. So thinking right there, and then that lip, and then probably about there. You want like a plate. Something like that. Yeah, about 1 inch diameter tube, and then enough for a couple bolt holes to put that in there to compress the plate. And you should be good. You gotta make 2. So this is our basic shape. It goes like that. And then you're gonna cut it out with your scissors. And then you can check it. This way you're not scrapping material. It takes a long time to cut up metal, uses up materials, and this stuff, it's like there's so much more of it. I can make a lot of mistakes before I get to the final product. And if I'm happy with that, we're good. And I think that'll work. There's a little bit on the other side there. As long as it captures everything, it's just hanging off the edge of each of the stays, and I should be able to use that to make my template. So that's what I'm going to do next. And you get your metal. Someone gave me this. And let's see here. High-tech video. There it is. So I always try to find a couple edges that are good, what's going to work good here, and use up the material most efficiently so you're not scrapping a lot of it. Like if you just stick them in the middle like this, you're wasting a lot of this. You're doing a lot of extra cutting. Why not save some time and put it at the edge? Now there's 2 edges. All I need to cut are 2 edges. So I think that one looks good. And we'll go ahead and cut that like so. Okay. Okay, we got our metal. Back up to the nasty chip covered bed of my mill for further shenanigans. Whoop! Break everything. It's a little cattywampus. Maybe that's not the best spot. Alright, we pause. Okay, so now we can go through this malarkey again. This thing was working pretty good. I was able to get these wheels off, but it doesn't look like, it looks like that's the end of that. I had taken the whole thing apart and tack welded the pin on this thing to get it to come apart, and it worked pretty good for a while, I must say. But now, not so good. Kind of scrolling into these little tchotchkes here to. One of them's the right one. None of them are the right one. No, no. No. Absolutely none of these are the right ones. Let's see if we get lucky. Ah, good. Okay. Okay, now we put the cutoff wheel back on. I have found that a lot of these wheels are not perfectly set up. You have to manually get them centered. It can be a little persnickety, I guess. Give it a spin. That's a little out of round. Back it off. Play with it a little bit. Could be that this thing's like 10, 15 years old and I just beat the hell out of it. Worse, going backwards. So you want to kind of just eyeball it close enough. And then if it is a little out of whack, it will be wonky for a minute and then it'll kind of just grind itself round. So you're wasting some material there. That's real bad. Hold on. Sorry, I'm mumbling to myself. I'm preparing for going to work and telling people to wait their turn. I do really enjoy what I do, but I'm telling you, man, sometimes dealing with the public can be pretty vexing. So, anyway, enough of that. Okay, over here, check for fit. Whoop. I believe it went like that. Oh, hot. See, I'm gonna have to is that the way or is it backwards? I don't even know what I'm doing. Don't for 1 minute think I know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. No, that went like that. Whew. Oh, I see. There's a corner here that I was supposed to cut that I didn't. Like so. That would make that. Okay. Now that we know that, we can cut this shape twice. I'm going to have to space the rear end out to do it this way because the chain's going to rub on that. But that's easily remedied. That's pretty good. Definitely want it to come over a bit. Maybe I leave that corner because you really want it to grab it and have some bite. You're going to have another grown adult on this thing and you're thrashing around. They're so hard to get moving and they basically try and kill you. That's their purpose. So you've got to watch out. This thing sounded pretty sad. What I do is I'll make like a guide cut. Just dig into the material lightly, and then that makes it easier to make a straighter cut. If you try to dig in all the way, whole hog into the material with these cutoff wheels, they don't like that very much. And you wear them out faster anyway, so it's just smart just to do like a little guide cut and then go from there. Probably thinking like, you know, that'd be easier on a bandsaw. And I agree, but the blade on my bandsaw's wore out. And I have this, and I could do this now, so. Okay, we got 2 plates. Ooh, hot. Okay. Those are pretty close to one another, that's good. But they're still going to need the treatment. Get all the flash off of them real quick. probably just trim that with the cutoff wheel. There's actually, now looking at it twice, there's a fair amount of material still. Not quite even. Let's trim it. High tech. It's not working very good. It keeps slipping. This thing's... I was just praising your longevity grinder, and it sounds like you're about ready to throw in the towel. I think this thing's done. It's not. There, see? Oh, it's a sad day. Had this for so long. Well over a decade. This Makita is just great. Broken. Just been abused. But I think it's it. Darn it. Oh well. What are you going to do? Okay, so I have this one, and this is my high-tech fix. Is tried to get in there and repair it before, but if you bend the cable, it works. This is number 2, and so there. I just used electrical tape and put that twist on the cable so it comes back alive. I know that's super smart, but I'm crunched for time. I gotta finish this before I go to work. At least get the plate done. Alright. Plates. Let's check out our plates. Move this over here. Before the battery runs out. Okay. So we got our front plate. Those need to be drilled. And then we got our rear plate. And they'll have to be, I'll have to make sure I space the rear end out correctly. There we go. That's pretty good. That's going to give me enough real estate to run 2 bolts through this and make it real strong. And then make sure the chain doesn't hit. Probably just tweak the rear end. So So yeah. Okay, that's good enough for now. Okay, so back to work and gusset like so. What you want to do is figure out, you're going to have two things coming off this. One's going to go this way across to the hack, and one's going to go down that way. So you got to make provisions for those, and just kind of roughly 1-inch tube there, and then probably for the down one you could just do it right underneath, and that one's going to go down. So that would be fine. And then you figure, okay, so I need a hole, and one there, and probably one there, and drill those with the other plate, and then you got your holes for your bolts. So we'll move over to that in a minute. Very exciting drill press action. I know you're thrilled. There's the plates. So I'm just going to clamp them together with a pair of vice grips, and then I'm going to use another something to hold them onto the drill. Okay. Just get that on there secure. I gotta get that over there, so maybe this moves, something like that, and then get that one there and get it over one of those slots so the drill bit won't mess up the base. Get it up there. So, okay, I need to reposition it. Probably put a piece of wood underneath that, which I don't have handy anywhere. I just said not to do it. I think this thing rotates. Yes, it does. There we go. Now we're in business. Okay. That's going to get our hole. Okay, lock that down. Okay, now we drill. Danger. What I'm doing now would get you fired in the shop, or get an F in your shop class. It's highly stupid. You know, I work with my hands. I really don't need to be trying to prove. I mean, I am an idiot. I'm just like, why remove all doubt? Right? Let's just take the extra steps that make it safe. It's too tight. Too loose. Get the Goldilocks, the sweet spot there. There we go. Okay. Chuck's not quite tight enough. Okay, we got one hole. Let's reposition for the second one. Looks like about there. Okay. I mean, it doesn't need to be 100% accurate. Just as long as you can get it through the frame, it's all good. Fancy drill press. Okay. Plates. Woo. Let's see. Do we have any nuts and bolts handy? Probably not. You know, one day, a smart person would organize all their junk. I don't know. I just never did it. Probably in the same boat. Sounds like a good idea. That one's no good. Because you know, if you've been doing it this way for so long, you're just going to wind up making a mess out of it again. Why bother? It's a treasure hunt. What's in here? I don't know. Not long enough. Wrong kind. Dodge parts. Meh. I looked at that one already. Whew. What's that guy? There we go. There's two that will probably work for now for mocking up purposes. One to my meow. Ooh, hot metal. Meow meow. Are you hungry? Are you hungry? Do you want a treat? You know what that means. Alright, let's feed the cat. Oh, into the cage. Oh, who's hungry? Who's hungry? Who's hungry? The raccoon-proof cat food box. He does not like food in a bowl. He won't eat it. He was a prison kitty. He's got weird hang-ups. Don't chew my mouth. Don't chew. There you go. Yes, eat up. He has to dance around it. If it's too tight of a pile, he won't eat it. I don't know, whatever. Everybody's weird, and everything is weird if you scrutinize it enough, I guess. Oh, okay. Back to bikes. Make my own sound effects. Giant pile of handlebars. And back over here. There's the bike. Schwinn Stingray. And we got plates. Could use bigger bolts. Maybe I drilled those holes of scotch too big. So what I'm doing is I just want to get a mounting surface, and then I'm going to take the donor frame, and that bolt's too long, or it doesn't have enough thread. The donor frame, and then get it mocked up next to the bike, and then build the linkage, kind of half build it, I guess, and just see proof of concept, like get it to turn. Of course, all these nuts and bolts are all boogered up to all hell and back, and it won't turn. Son of a, you can't hand tighten it. Alright, so I got some good nuts and bolts in the front there, and then this one is going to go like that. Same thing. You just, two's probably enough. So probably one about there, and then one about there, and you're going to have a pipe that's going to come down this way and go like this, and that's the platform. And you could gusset that, or just add another pipe and make a triangle, which is, as you know, a very strong shape. So we do the same thing. We'll just drill this, get two big old holes there, and then we can mount it on the bike. The chain's rubbing, but this is a 3-speed hub, and I'm going to ditch that and put just a regular coaster brake on there. And because you never use the hard gears, easy gears, hard gears, yeah, the hard gears, and the coaster brake in 3 speeds in particular suck so bad. Death. That's all you get out of this thing. It's no good. So we'll move over to the drill press and drill. Okay, same thing we just did, repeat. Okay, probably good to throw a little spray lube on the bit there, preserve it. Those are good drill bits. I tell you, the cheap ones just aren't worth the waste of time. Spend the big money and get the good ones. They just go through stuff so well. Health hazard. No! that is great. Real safe. I am not promoting safety. I am promoting stupidity. I'm doing an excellent job. Okay. Thereabouts. Okay. Give her a go. Oh, what happened? There we go. Sweat. Probably too hot to touch. See, if you just keep filming and you don't edit, then you just save so much time. If you're unfamiliar with a Sidehack, they, of course, just like BMX stands for bicycle motocross, the Sidehack also came from motorcycles, and in the 70s it had a brief, very intense sort of interest in it. There were a couple companies like Gary Littlejohn and I think R&R made Sidehacks. Most of them were homemade jobbies. All the ones I saw back in the day were homemade, and they were cool. Yeah, it didn't last very long. It's pretty intense. The tracks were like downhill tracks, and people would go careening down these things and just eat shit. Oh my goodness. You get really messed up. So, something to think about. This thing's still hot to the touch, but I don't want to wait. I got working man's hands. It doesn't hurt that bad. So, kind of just get it in position where we want it to be, like that. Then I will have to postulate the second part of the project, or the next step in the project, which is getting the proof of concept, which is to get the steering to work. Just kind of rig it up somehow, and I'll probably use Heim joints to make it happen. That may be my only expenditure out of stuff I don't have. I have a few Heim joints kicking around, but I think every single one of them's mismatched, so that's no good. You can't really do much with that. So can't really see what I'm doing. Don't know what I'm doing. Can't see what I'm doing. I don't draw anything out. I've made all kinds of wacky bicycles in my life, and I just have an idea and I kind of just figure it out as I go. I've never made a bicycle with BikeCAD or any of these programs. Probably would make my life easier, but I just like figuring it out. Like, I have a vision and then I just kind of go for it and see what's going to work. Now, you know, I could have pre-drilled these. Someone's probably going to say that. I don't care. That may be an issue. Maybe a third hole right there probably makes a lot of sense. But for now, that's good enough. And of course, sharp edges up here and up here are going to be dealt with when the time comes. So that's that. I have this Peugeot BMX frame from the 80s. And it's a pretty cool bike. I've probably been sitting on this frame for 20 years. And I have never done anything with it. You know, it's time just to sacrifice it to the gods of radness. I don't think it's worth anything. I really don't care if it's worth anything. I'm a bike rider more than a collector. I do have really cool vintage bikes in my collection, but you know, realistically, they're meant to be ridden. That's the whole purpose. Okay, so I'm gonna get a wheel and kind of just get a rough idea how wide I want the hack to be and mock it up from there. So that's where we're at right now. Okay, I've got a wheel on this. It's kind of mocked up. The monkey's going to be here like this. You may need to get a little more forward. So normally a hack wheel is either in line with the rear wheel or at about that position. So it's going to create a bit of a challenge. I think if I make this wheel equidistant between both wheels, that would probably be idyllic for steering purposes. Keep in mind, my plan is to have like a tab come off this fork and then run a rod to a tab here, and that way the wheels kind of do this in unison and get the steering. This is about the wide cockpit will make it stable. If you get it too narrow, it want to tip over really easy, which I've experienced many times firsthand, and I wouldn't recommend it. Yeah, you get messed up. So maybe the bike more like that, and that kind of goes against standard side hack building practices. If there is a science for such a thing, this tube is going to go like this, and then there'll be a tube here that'll come up here and connect maybe both these, and then build a third one maybe here that will come down and then go like this, and that'll be the bucket, and kind of chime into there. And it looks like you just cut the frame, cut the stays off, and you've got almost a perfect platform. Platform's going to come out in front of the wheel. You got to get your weight over the front wheel, especially because with these things, when you're steering, you've got two uncooperative wheels that don't move and one that does, and it's always out on the far corner, and you'll turn the wheel and nothing happens. Your monkey has to kind of get over and help you put some weight on that front wheel. If you don't have a good ambulatory monkey, you got problems. I've certainly suffered the consequences of bad monkeys, and then totally kicked ass with a good monkey. So they're just as important as or more important than having, you know, the guns. So that's kind of where I'm at now. I may just tack like a piece of metal in here, and then here, and then just mock it up. But I kind of want to buy the heim joints first and just kind of set it up right from the get-go, just to kind of get the proof of concept. And I think if that works, if I'm comfortable with that, then I'll move on to actually building the whole hack around this process. You know, maybe I come up off of here, or you know, that can be explored. It's cool. It's a good fitting end for the Peugeot. And you know, Stingrays, I mean, God, I used to get these things for $5 all day long, and now it's like, oh, it's a Stingray. It's like, no, it's a fun machine. That's what it is. Let's have fun on it. So that's all I got for now. We'll see what happens. Just to give you a quickie kind of look. And then this one. There you go. Get it from all the angles. You can kind of visualize what I'm trying to do. Definitely going to have a mag wheel out here. One of my friends really wants that Ukai, but I don't sell my vintage BMX stuff. I will trade. And he doesn't have anything I want right now. So that's the way it goes. These are going to probably get nixed for a set of blue arrays that I have kicking around. And yeah, I'm thinking red, white, and blue. Got the blue grips already. So we'll see. Alright. That's all I got for now. Alright. Back at it. Swap the fork. I think this is some chromoly. Nice vintage. I didn't want to weld on it. It's probably worth a bunch of money. I could use that on my Webco. So I've got the cheapy Schwinn fork that's red, which is kind of what I wanted. I didn't have to buy tie rods because I have one of these rotting in my yard. The Riff. You remember these? Snoop Dogg did the videos. Get your Riff on. Probably won't believe me, but me and one of my friends, we made a bunch of lowrider versions of these for that video, Drop It Like It's Hot. So if you ever see that and you wonder why didn't they make those, it's because we made them just for him. But this is the factory schmactory one, and it didn't do very well. It didn't have an actual regular seat on it, so I think that kind of was an oversight, but whatever. Anyway, tie rods, mounts. This tire's stripped on there. I don't care. Probably never going to use it for anything, so let's just cut it up and make it into something, excuse me, that I can use. That thing's probably going to get tossed outside for the scrap metal guys, as we like to refer to them as the Jawas, because anything metal will take. Anyway, next step is the Peugeot BMX, and I thought about it, and I think somewhere around here, I don't want it completely, put the bottom bracket just about even with the back tire, and then that's a bit of a length to steer, but honestly I think if you put it perfectly in each wheel with a perfect triangle, equal angles. I don't remember what that was in math. Is that an isosceles triangle, or is it the other kind? This escapes me. I wouldn't know. A long time ago. flunked out of that class a long time ago. So anyway, I'm thinking about there, and then, because if it is equal, it'll be really easy if you put your weight in this corner for the rear wheel to tilt up and back. It's not good, because once you do that, down you go. So let's get some measuring tapes. Rough cockpit dimensions are as follows. I kind of half threw up in my mouth right there. I just ate some awful hot dogs, which I don't normally eat something that's shitty. But I got nothing else in the house right now, and eating a tube that's filled up of mob hits and North Hollywood homeless people ground up into a tube format. That's, well, you know, you don't expect it to stay down well. Anyway, that's probably going to come out to there. But roughly, rough distance is, I'm looking at about 27, 28 inches. I'm going to go check one of my other hacks. About 24 is what you want. You can scotch this in a scotch. You want about 24, so that can even come in more. Like that. It looks almost too narrow. Right now, I'm just going to tack some metal, probably just cut the metal back out just to get proof of concept for the steering apparatus. That's about 24 inches, so that's pretty good. That doesn't look quite even in relation to the other one. I put it in a bike stand and inflated the tires, and I put some bolts under there to make up the difference, so we got the head tube. So what I'm going to need to do now is make sure that these head tubes are pretty close in degree to one another. So Schwinn's, this Schwinn, pretty steep. It looks like about a 72 or 73 degree head tube angle. Is that right? Oh, that's close. Oh, yeah. Okay, no, 60. That means I was reading it wrong. 68 or so. 65 almost. Schwinn cruisers were like around 65. This was like about 66. That's good for the downhill. Definitely want a slack head tube for downhill. With a hack, all the better. Let's see what the Peugeot is with the stock height. And that's pretty darn close. It's almost the same right off the bat. 67? 68. And this one is, oh, well, geez, it's almost identical. That's close enough. So, okay, what I want to do is I want to tack a piece of metal from here to there just to get a reading And then I'm going to do the same thing over here just to make it structural, to put the steering on and just give it a test. So that's the plan. Eyeball it. Okay, so let's see. Gotta clean some paint off that thing. I'm ruining the patina, guys. Gotta love that fancy, expensive rust, otherwise known as patina. I'm gonna paint them anyway, so I don't care. Okay. We need L Sharpie. Here's L Sharpie. I want to get a rough idea. Like that. That one can just stay like that. So I'm going to cut that guy there. This is real safe. I'm going to do something real safe right now. Look at that. All right. Oh. All right. Just gonna have some pieces of metal in here just to get a baseline so we can see if this will work or not. That's all we're doing. These are temporary, just to get the basic structure somewhat secure. And then from there we can determine whether or not I think I have a chance of making it work. And if I do, great. And if I don't, then oh well. I mean, at least I gave it a shot. Come on, Dylan. Okay. All right. Put the mask back, brand new mask back in its box. Otherwise, I'd abuse them and get all messed up. I thought I was getting worse at welding. I just couldn't see anything anymore. And got a new mask. And transformation. Okay, so that's... Now we got just enough to test her out. And I got these two little guys here. And those are going to be my tie rod end holders. So I got to get them symmetrical and get some of the paint off and stuff. So we swing over to the vise. This is my only vise. Coffee and actual physical vices. You ever find a Made in USA vise? One of these old ones? I'm telling you, they're so durable. And honestly, I don't really have anything against something made overseas. It's not realistic anymore to think that stuff can be made here and not have it be, you know, crazy expensive or bad quality. I mean, how many people you know that are lazy as all get out, right? So, but these old things, oh, they're so tough. They've got little cool markings on them and stuff. The Colombian, I mean, you don't see stuff like that anymore. It's pretty cool. I've got a spare, and I've had friends try to buy it off me. I'm all, no, there's no way. Because if it breaks, I need it. I bought like a Chinese one from a swap meet and carried it around like an idiot all day. And then it lasted for a while, but I was leaning really hard into it at work, and the shaft just snapped because it's cast. It's not forged, and I fell on the ground. It was pretty funny. I must admit, it was humorous. So, okay, all right, that. Let's get our ear and eye protectors. Trash out of the way. Help if I plugged it in. What's wrong? Ugh, disgusting. Okay, good enough. Gonna have to clean some paint off the forks. Let's do that. Off the forks. Very exciting. Scraping paint off. Menagerie of brakes out of the way. Not a very flattering angle there, I'm sure, with these polyester Vern pants I'm wearing from one of my friend's dads who lost a lot of weight. And since I hate paying for things, especially clothing, because I murder it. His name is Vern. He said, "Do you want Vern pants?" And I said, "Well, yes, I want Vern pants. They're free, aren't they?" Since everything I own winds up getting tons of welding holes in it and whatnot, then screw it. You may as well. Okay. Mask. Protective casing. Slap it on the drum head. Get the gloves. And we will tack our steering apparatuses to the forks. It's really good to weld in polyester pants and slip-on bands on shorts. Great way to have all kinds of little burns all over your legs and whatnot, or maybe even if you're lucky, you'll just light yourself completely on fire. I mean, hey, things can happen. Okay. I'm just going to tack them because you may need some tweaking. I think I may need to make that level. I don't know if it'll function at an angle. They are pine joints, so they do have some flexibility in them, but I don't know. I've never done this before, so I'm not making any assumptions. Doesn't come off with finger pressure, so that should be good enough. Okay, so we got that done. All right, hold on. Okay, I made a tie rod. I've got them relatively straight. They can be adjusted. I just cut one of those things in half and sleeved it into some 3/4 inch tubing that I just bought today for another project. We're going to do proof of concept right now and see if it fails. I can already see that this tab, when you turn left, it may hit the frame. I may need to bring this guy out a couple inches and then get these angles adjusted. That's fine tuning, but I'm just going to tack it because right now it slides inside the tube, and then we'll see if it works. And if that works, then I can start building the hack, and I think it'll work. Or it'll die. We'll figure it out. Okay, one over here. Okay, moment of truth. Take the little bolts out from underneath the wheel. Get the hammer out of the way. And, oh yeah, look at that. Woo! Now let's see, left. Yeah, okay, so that's got to be longer. Right, you're steering left, not so much. So, yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty stoked on this concept here. You can see what I did. It's got the steering. It steers the other side. The hack. Go over to the other frame. See? I kind of figured it would work. But see there, it's binding up. That can be alleviated by taking that tab here and just bringing it out, say 2-3 inches, and that will help with that. I can take these tacks off and move them. This may be too short now, but there's about 6 inches of this thing in there, so maybe I could just reuse it. I hope I can. I don't like wasting stuff, but yeah, you get the gist of it. Just kind of give you a quick walk around. We've got, that's what it's going to be, kind of what it's going to look like. The bottom bracket here is almost completely in line with the rear tire, and it's far enough back I think it'll be stable. So creating the tubes will be interesting. I have a tubing bender over here, the JG squared, which is overkill. It's what I'm going to use and make the frame out of 1-inch round tubing, and just go from there. Yeah, pretty cool. That's a good place to pause, and then I can do some more mods and then start working on the final concept. Thanks. Okay. I was getting running out of time and trying to solve the steering issue. So I have this ugly thing going on here from the stem. I don't like the way it looks, but ultimately necessity is going to dictate the form it's going to take, because this is far enough back, it creates a bind there. If these wheels were even, it'd be super easy. So now I just want to compare. This is a regular Sidehack here, and I mean the most you're going to turn is probably about there. If you go that far, I mean you're not going anywhere. That's going over the bars. So that's about the angle that the most you'd want to do is about there. You can feel it in the frame. So this one has about not quite the same angle. It's a little less, but because you've got the other wheel aiding in its steering, maybe that won't matter too much. I don't know. I'm really chasing my tail with this problem. So what I guess I'm going to do is kind of test the radius, see how far the turn radius is from the same position, say where this fork is. I'll put that one here, and then see when I tilt the wheel max, how far of a turn do I get. So I guess that's a way to be scientific about it, which I'm I'm just doing a lot of guesswork. I don't know if anybody's ever made one of these before. Honestly, I don't think it would be very fun if I just looked it up on YouTube. So, I've got the Sidehack. It's straight, and then we're going to turn it to its max turn where you feel that it's safe, and then go to where it changes direction, and that's about where the regular one goes. Okay, so put that there. Now we push this guy out of the way. Okay, now let's bring the swing hack. This is what I'm calling it. Let's put it in the same position. I can already tell it's not going to turn as good. So that's about the same position, right about there. And then we're going to turn it to its max left, which is there. And you can see already the turning radius on this is way shallower. You've got that. So it still needs to be messed with. You can see the two chalk marks. That's a good 18 inches difference. I just don't think that's navigable. I think you're going to turn. It looks almost the same angle-wise though. So I moved these up to these stems. I can make this longer, and I think that'll help the problem, which is what I may do. You know, it needs to function. Now, it's going to get out here and just look ridiculous. If it was even, it'd be all the way out here. All the way like this. This is no good. You want it to look cool too, but I don't know. I have to think about it. It's always good if you're really flummoxed by something just to pull away and take a day or two off from the project. Don't abandon it, but kind of keep figuring it out. So I have to keep adjusting the length of this, and I've done it like half a dozen times off camera until I came to this conclusion yesterday after taking a break that maybe if I mounted them on the stems down on the fork, it's kind of exacerbates the problem, I'd say. So, but this is also retarding the steering here, which may be good because it's just giving it a bit of an aid. It's not turning as much as the front wheel. Everyone else would just have a front wheel only turn, and this one you're at least getting a little bit of turning with that, and it's going to make it dig in better, I'd say. It may handle better this way. See, that one doesn't turn as much. So, and then you've got, now it's binding. So that, see, I think if you go one way, you're alleviating one problem and then simultaneously creating another. So that needs to go a little bit over more. I could just maybe do something simple like cut a divot in this plate, and then that will allow the rod to go over a bit more, and maybe that'll be enough. If I can get within, I'd say 6 inches of this other hack, I'd say it'd be good to go ahead and try to finish the project, you know. So I'm going to try the divot first, and then I'll get back to you on that. We'll see. Alright. This is what I did. I put a bend here. I shortened this because it was creating the aforementioned problems. This can move though, and then it won't steer correctly. So I'm going to have to make, when I build the bucket, I'm going to have to make some kind of like drag link or idler arm or something to kind of keep that in position. It could just be something as simple as a ring that keeps it from flopping too far one way or the other. That's where you want it to be. It could be this way. It may create binding. I may have to make it slotted so it has a little bit of give. I'm not sure how I'm going to engineer that, but here's the test. There's our previous marks. Regular side hack and the steering hack or swing hack. Wheels cocked over and we turn it. Okay, so we've got the drag link locked in position. I think the tack weld broke here. Tightening the jam nuts kind of stabilized it. I may need to build an idler assembly for it, I'm not sure. And you've got your marks here. The one on the left is the standard side hack. The one on the right was the first mark for this hack. So we're in the same position using the Schwinn fork there as the detente, and crank that, and you can see it tucks in nicely. I could probably actually trim that a little more, and then we test. This should stay in position, and we got the wheel, and that you can see the mark there. I'm within about 2-3 inches of that mark, and I call that good. That's proof of concept right there. It was a bit of a struggle. This is so ugly. I hate that, but hey, it's got to happen. I'm going to trim all this off and then weld all this up nicely, and then I'm going to have to triangulate this for strength. So I'm going to build something off the fork that has a bolt-on assembly up here. That way you can disassemble it and take it apart in case the headset needs service. And I have to do it anyway because I'm going to have to strip everything down and paint it. So we will start building the bucket. I'm going to put another bolt there, and then I have to bend that inner plate in, tuck it in, notch it or something so the chain clears, and then I'll start building the bucket around the whole thing. So that's pretty cool. Now the reason it steers the same, so you're like, why bother? Well, under load, the side hack, you turn the front wheel and the other wheel's going straight, the rear wheel is going straight, and if you don't have a good monkey, it goes straight, you crash. I couldn't walk for 4 days after a side hack crash. It was pretty bad. So this may be a superior design, but it may just be some goofy novelty thing, which is still fun to do. There's nothing wrong with that. And then yeah, there, so it turns sharp both ways. I'd say that's a win. So we can develop it further from there, and we'll see how it goes. Alrighty, so I got the JD squared tubing bender set up. I think I paid like $1,100 for this, just to build a single fork for a prototype mountain bike that I'm working on that is being made overseas, and thing's badass. So, you know, you can afford one. If you're doing lots of tubing bending, roll cages, bike stuff, whatever, this thing's great. So the plan is bend this. It's got to kind of come out a little bit and then come back in, because you have to make enough accommodation for the monkey, and you want them to be able to put their weight over the front wheel. So if it came in at this angle, not only is my leg going to hit this, which it does, they're going to be too far back. So I think I need a good 6 inches like over the axle, and then this one maybe 4 inches, and bend it. I may have to just make little pieces and weld it all together. I'd like to make it unanimous, but I'm not really that good at bending metal. So we're just going to see how it goes. You can see how easy this thing is to use. It's like turning a page in a book, and it bends the metal so well. Those manual benders you could buy from Harbor Freight or on eBay or whatever, like, they're fine and all, but you know, at the end of the day, you have to apply so much force to bend a piece of metal, and this has so much mechanical advantage. You are, you know, expending almost zero force to get it to turn. Very rarely does it won't really kink up tubes or anything like that, like those cheap benders will do. Those are fine. I did buy a bunch of those in the past and use them to good effect, but as I've gotten more involved in this stuff, it only makes sense for me to go ahead and, you know, invest in better equipment over time. There's like a degree finder you can put on here. You can make handlebars on these, all this kind of stuff. So that's certainly more advanced than what I'm doing, but just bitching. And then let's see here. So I think we want to break that loose. Ah, okay. Take the shackle out. Yeah, there's a hammer. See about our first bend. The thing's super heavy, so probably need a friend to help you mount it on a stand, or if you're strong enough, you could do it yourself. It's just up to you. You know, use your judgment. So that's pretty good. And we want the bend to start about there. And if you put this back in the thing, in the tool, this pulls the metal. So I think it was about there. And so you can see it pulls the metal at about that mark. Just for mocking up purposes. Let's see if I can scratch a clean spot in the rusty metal there. There's a clean spot, so I can get a Sharpie and then try to gauge it. So a man can never have enough Sharpies, I'll tell you. Okay, so there's that. Now we're gonna flip her over. You want to make sure you're bending the same direction. So actually you're not flipping it, you're going deeper in the material there. It's always good to check that kind of stuff, because you will invariably make mistakes and start bending shit the wrong way and scrap material, which I've done many, many times, and I probably will do it again. I can only imagine. So get that all locked down. Like so. It's a little rusty. It's in my work shed, but still. Okay. So you can see that needs to come down. Get that eyeball at fairly level. It is a Sidehack. I mean, you can't use bike CAD to make this thing. So, kind of see the process here. And you stick these little guys on there. And you turn it. You see, I can do one hand with the camera and one hand on the bender just to give you an idea. And of course, you're not going to be able to watch the whole thing while I do it, but just the idea. See how it's bending the metal. Now, I'm hoping it's bending it in the right spot, but it could be wrong. And now it's too late, so it doesn't matter. I could just cut it and add a section or take out a section. If I use this a lot, I'd probably get a lot better at it, but since I don't, I use it very intermittently, it's is what it is. So you can see at some point in your making stuff trajectory, you will come to the realization that it's way worth it just to spend the money and get the good tools. Hand tools, whatever, but high quality industrial tools, specialty tools are critical in making your work easier. You churn out better products, you know. So, and it's just smarter in the long run. This thing will probably last me the rest of my life. You know, and I have some low-end backyard mechanic tubing benders, and they're kind of just not very useful. You can maybe bend some EMT with them or something, but you can't really bend a thicker material or get nice bends. So you move it down there. Now you're adding, and then after you go do that, you can move this piece over to the next hole and get more of a radius, a tighter radius. So it's really just something else, you know. So that's where we're at now. I want to get this a little more bent, I think. So you take this guy out here and then move it over, and we can continue what we're doing like so. And you kind of like halfway start over. Probably giving you motion sickness the way I'm holding the camera. I'm just one hand in that, no effort. It's just like picking up a book or something. You know, I mean, I'm just kind of leaning into it with my body weight, and it's turning the metal so good. I'm not being sponsored by this company. I'm just saying, like, hey, this thing's cool. Maybe you pick up a used one somewhere. I'm sure they're all out there. But really bitchin'. Glad I bought it. Give me many years of use. Okay, that looks pretty good there. It'll flex back just a scotch after you take the pressure off. So you got to kind of take that into account. Let's put the camera back and see what we're dealing with. Focus on the hack. Okay. this out of the way. Because it's been sitting, it's a little rusty. Okay, now I should have some room. There we go. Alright, so let's look at what we're doing. So we're going to angle that like this. Okay, so see, we bent that way too short. It grabbed it the wrong spot. So I'm going to slice this and tack it, and then cut this in the center, and then I'll put this there on the head tube of the Peugeot, and that'll give us our first bend. So you can't really bend it back, I don't think. Maybe a little. So I went too far. I can try and bend it back. Oh, that little bit helped tremendously. So now we're pretty darn close just doing that. So I gotta slice this at an angle and tack it. Get it ready, I can mock it up, and I can kind of bend this. So maybe I don't have to cut it. That would be really cool. I prefer it that way. So you can kind of see what we got going on there. Okay. And that's going to be the first bar. I added holes. So I added some holes for those. I'm going to get the first one in place and throw a couple good tacks on it. And then I'll get another bar that's going to come out and come out from here like this, and then come out to the bottom bracket, and then I'm going to slice the rear triangle off of this BMX, and then it's junk at that point. Cry me a river, BMX collectors. So that's what we're doing. I'm going to go ahead and get working on that. I'll pause for a minute. Alrighty. I did a bunch of tweaking on the bar off camera. I had to go outside and use the Ultra Ghetto tubing bender adjustment tool, which is the receiver in the back of my van. You can see I kinked it up a little bit there, but I really don't care. It's a Sidehack. Am I going to clean the paint off this piece of metal here before I tack it? No, I'm not. So, anyway, this looks pretty good. And this steering arm, that's the lowest it'll go. So it clears. And we can get this like so. And start to build some structure in this thing. So. Being uncooperative. I think it got jammed up. It does that. It's old. It's gotta be, this welder's gotta be like 25 years old, I think. Oh no, we ran out of wire. Okay. So, I guess we'll move over to there. You can kind of see. I wonder why I was having difficulty like that. I can cut this out, get this out of the way, and then I've got a bar in there now, and that comes forward pretty far, so that gives me a good cockpit. That's going to clear my leg all good. And the welder, ouch, as you can see, I leave all my tools in here and tips because you're going to lose them. I think I got another spool of this stuff, I hope. Otherwise, it's a trip to the welding store, which I hate going there. Alright, hold on. Not looking good. Alright, back from the welding store. 2 spools of wire, $140. Yay. Wasn't able to fill the gap. Choose. Made it work. Whatever. Wasn't there before. Do it. Alright, that's pretty stable. So I think at this point we can cut this other support off. Yeah, buddy. That's looking pretty good. Looking pretty good. A little different than a regular hack. The next bar will come down here, like so, and then have to go back, but it's going to have to miss the wheel. So it's going to come in at an angle over here. So I'm going to come down over here, and then like so, this way, and then towards the bottom bracket, and then up like this, kind of like this, here, and then over, and then like this. I'm probably just gonna have to bend a bunch of little pieces with the bender. There's no way I'm gonna be able to pull off that complicated of a bend, but I can make a bunch of elbows in various degrees and just kind of plug it together like one would, you know, plumbing pipe or whatnot. So I think that's all I got time for today before I got to go to work. So I'll hit it more later tonight. progress. Alright, I've got the basic structure kind of tacked in place. With a side hack, you always want to drop the monkey hack part below the spindle on the wheel. It gives it stability. So I'm just going to cut the bar here off, or try to. This wheel's a little worn out. Okay, and I need to put a bigger new wheel on there. I can't reach that. Can't reach that bar, the tack weld. Alright. I don't think I could do much of anything. I'm running out of daylight anyway, as it were. I can barely see. Oh, never mind. I got it. That's all it needed. Okay. Just kind of. Okay. So that's the basic structure. Still rolls good, so nothing deviated too much. Yeah, it wants to go. That's always a plus. There's more cutting. There's more that needs to be done, but you get the basic idea. Bent that tube, just went straight across into the bottom bracket shell, This one goes around, comes to there. I'm going to have to build a lower structure here and go up into the frame. And then I'm going to have to take that structure and bring it over here to connect to that. And my pedals got to clear with my feet. So you got to make sure you got enough room for your pedal in the hack. It's going to come down and go like that. It may have to tuck in. That may be a weird shape, but whatever. I think it'll be good. That's out there pretty far from that. That may create some weakness. Ooh. But what I'm going to do is bring another piece of metal from here and triangulate it up into this. And that ought to give it plenty of strength. So that, as you know, the triangle is a very strong shape. So that's all we're going to be able to do for this evening. Just poke myself in the back with the tubing bender. All right. Welcome back. You can hear the ghetto bird circling in the distance. It's one of the joys of living in the San Fernando Valley. We're making some progress. Got some tubage. Gonna build the lower portion. Just getting everything tacked in. So I'm gonna do some cutting here, make some bracket. Let's see here. I'm really making a concerted effort to protect my welding helmet. I just thrash these things. So, much better. They always have these ridiculous names. What's this one? The Titan. Good old Harbor Freight. Turn on the MIG. This is to get it about level with platform. Looks like it's shooting a little too low, but I just tack this. I can always give it a little tweakage. Looks like I'm going to have to do, or I use one of my bent up pieces to kind of kick it up. Either way, I kind of have to build this in a mosaic because there's really no rhyme or reason to it. It has to clear the wheel at max turn, which it does. And yeah, so kind of just make the puzzle pieces as you go. No cogent design for what I'm doing. Get the tape measure out and see. That looks pretty good. That is a little past 8. Okay, so it needs to come up with the scotch. You want to keep lots of sharp edges still on this thing. roughly. That needs a little coercion. About there. So I can already see a couple snags with the design. I don't know if this is good now. I'm thinking twice about it. Because where are you going to go? This blocks the monkey. So that's no good. I have to rethink this. This is good. I like this, but I think it needs to drop straight down here and then come over. And that way there's some room. Because the wheels up front, this thing's going to be a wheelie machine if you don't have the monkey forward. And this is in the way, which is just part of the design. I plan on putting a bar here that they can grab onto. That's going to inhibit them from getting up close. So I see this is no good. Okay, so I welded it probably too much. But now that I'm thinking about it, I really need to drop this almost straight down like that. So this pipe replace that pipe. So that's what I'm going to do next. Give me a minute. You can just gaze at the wonderfulness of the thing. All right. What the hell was that? Some real seat-of-the-pants engineering here. You're just going on a misadventure with me, okay? It's just, yeah. That guy. This one. Maybe not low enough. Do I have to bend it more metal? That's about right, actually. But I think I want it to kind of tuck in at an angle and follow this, which will bring the bucket all the way out here, which is kind of what we want to do. So slice this. This is good, but we need to slice it. cut on the knuckle. That's going to take forever to heal. It's my life, man. Let's make a band-aid. Put some tape over it for now. Seal it up. At some point, you do that so often, you just get used to it. So, that's where I'm at. That's ugly, but okay-ish. If that was a little longer, it would go down. That would do it. It's kind of almost like I should cut it from back there. Maybe bring it out straight here. Why is this tucked in? It doesn't quite follow the contour of this bar. That would be about there. Sharpie. So, as you see, it's very seat of the pants engineering. You just kind of figure it out as you go along. You eyeball a lot of stuff. You know, you're not making some bike show bike. Alright, I'm liking this. There's just enough room to get up in there. We'll see. Okay, that's tacked in position. I see here that this kind of creeped over. I'm going to have to do a bit of fill-in. That's okay. Pack it now. Fill the gap. Not a big deal. Just slice a piece and stick it in there. Okay, but that's building some serious structure. We've got the wheel. Both ways. Plenty of clearance. That's going to get trimmed. That's all the way over. It almost hits. Does it hit? It hits. Okay, so that's no good. But I don't think we're going to turn it that far. So, I mean, at that point, you're going over. I think that's max turn right about there. So probably okay. If not, I can just cut a slice out of that tube and flip it over inside and invert it. So that's where we're at now. Tube needs to come from there down to there. The tube, I need to do a third tube that comes down. I think it grabs this. This needs to be connected to that, probably there, to create some triangulation, some good structure. You can see it's coming along. This one, we need to make the platform come over, make sure it clears the cranks. There's enough room for my foot, so we need to have a piece of metal, you know, kind of like coming in here. That's my foot. I may be hitting. Definitely a concern. No, and just clear it. Woohoo! Close. Good whack. Bam! That may be no good. I may have to fix that. This may need to be cut off and pushed back this way some. Maybe I'll make another tube that comes up here and goes there. That I already don't like that. That's no good. That's why you just tack things at first. You gotta cut things apart and make adjustments as normal. To do that with this kind of stuff, so no big deal. I think that's the first thing I'll do is get rid of this. Okay, and then maybe knock it back, and then down, put it behind the axle, and then that way I know I've got plenty of real estate for my foot. So that's where we're at right now. I gotta pause and do chores. So that's where we're at right now. Enjoy. More later. All right. Got that. This thing. Moved this back. I added some metal and moved that back. Now I'm going to put in cross member bucket, whatever you want to call it. That's the plan. Just tack it. Come together. Make sure you clear the pedal. Enough room for the driver. Cut it. Miter it. That's miter it. The engine parts are all eyeballed it. It's applicable. Don't move pieces. Oh my God. Scotched it just a scotch too short. It's okay. It's within like 30-second of an inch, and you get a big bugger. No problem. So, fits now with pressure on it. Like I mentioned before, it's always wise to do metal fabrication welding when you're wearing cut-off polyester shorts, old man pants that probably catch on fire and burn my crotch off. It's totally okay. The steering still working. That's all good. This came loose. Move this back. Now we've got a pretty cogent shape. Size 11s have ample room to stroke the pedal. Now we'll put it all the way here at max down, and you can see there's plenty of room for knee, no shittage. So that's a lot of real estate right there to get in. It's a weird shape. As you can see, it is a weird shape. It's not your run-of-the-mill side hack. So the monkey will have to adapt. I think I may. There's just a scotch of room there. I just don't feel compelled to build more out that way. I'm definitely going to build a piece from here down to there. One here, one from there down to there. I'll probably add some pieces in between these two, and here, add one here to here, and that's going to really strengthen it up. In the back, same thing. Add another one on the end there to capture that. That's going to make it really strong. On the curved part on the back wheel, I'm going to bring a piece of metal and curve it into the end. That'll triangulate that. That should make it pretty robust. I don't think it'll come off. So we've got a good percentage of our shape now, how it's going to kind of look. It looks pretty cool, actually. It's funky, a little weird, but that's okay. I'm a weird guy. So I'm going to pause the filming and do some bending and get some more puzzle pieces kind of sorted out, and then I'll record putting those in there. Okay, I made some doohickeys, just simple kind of stuff, like so. Reinforce, triangulate, etc., etc. One goes there, right? Not like that, but you get the idea. I'm not getting crazy with these things. I'm making simple notches with a grinder. I'm not making like a full fab frame. There's really no reason to sweat the miters too much. See, that goes in there. It doesn't look terrible. That's all I did. Just notched it with the cutoff wheel. Same here. And that's going to tuck in there like that. And yeah, there's a big gap there. That's okay. I can just stuff a piece of metal in there. I could take a lot more time on it when I make my regular frames and really sweat the details, but you know, this thing is what it is. I want to get it rideable, and then after I spend all this time fretting over it and getting it all dialed in, and we use it in a race or whatever, paint it, make it look all bitchin', it's just gonna get hucked in my backyard and the squirrels are gonna poop all over it. So I just know what's gonna happen to it. I mean, it's cool, but I can't store it indoors. It's just too damn big. So that's where I'm at. I'm gonna get everything ready and start tacking in all those gusset pieces, and we'll do that next. Doing a little more welding just as I go along, because I got it where I want it. And test the structure a little bit. There'll be more plates and things. See if we want to reinforce a lot of stuff just to be safe. So we're going to do that. Get this welded. many Concourse d'Elegance shows with this thing. Like that. I'll put that one in there. I want to use those first. Up your hose. Smell burning hair. Quite a bit of rigidity just doing that. That one mostly straight, eyeball it. Yeah, it's good. Yes, I have an auto darkening mask. I started with a flipper mask and I still flip my mask. There's no reason to do it. I understand what I'm doing doesn't make any sense, but I'm doing it. More on this side. Okay, those are all good. One more over here. I think I may make another one from here to here, and that's going to create a stress riser, only one tube with all that torque on it. I think if I don't do that, I'm going to be sorry. Am I going to clean the paint off this frame? No, I'm not. This is the way. Why would I go do a thing like that? That makes perfect sense. Just let the metal tell me where it wants to go. So, let's see, I'll probably just get the camera to point out some things that I'm seeing that I want to do. Some I already mentioned. Okay, there is a stress riser for sure. I probably need to add a piece of metal from here to here, one here. This needs to have something that comes from up here and comes down to there, and that will triangulate that piece, and then that will make that strong, because it's just held on the whole back by that one little guy. That needs to be beefed up. And then this too, now I've got two pieces of metal kind of stabilizing the head tube. That's going to be under a lot of load, so I think I'm going to take a piece of metal and curve it and make it come in over here, and that gives it that cool like double bar kind of look, indicative of side hacks that you've seen from the days of yore. So that's pretty good. There's quite a bit more to do. My goal today is to get it rideable enough that I can try and whip it around in this mess here, move some of this junk out of the way, and just try to make a circle. I don't even know if I could do that. There's so much shit in my backyard, so help me. But there's a lot more to do. This needs to have a strut that comes out here that connects to the fork, and that way this has some triangulation. I can't do it on both sides. This needs to be reinforced with a gusset down here. That's going to be real weak. Weld all this up, cut this thing off. There's some trimming down there that needs to be done. Down there, trim that. So there's quite a bit more to do, but it's taking shape. And that is, I mean, you can't really tell, but I mean, just putting my foot on it, there's no flex. No wheelie machine. It's going to be interesting, and I'm going to have to make a bar that comes up. Get the finger in the view there. Comes up over this, and then goes over up here high enough for someone to reach over with this steering arm in the way and still be able to hang on. So that's not hard to do. Probably just make one and just make it a little on the high side and kick it forward some so they can add some weight to the front. And good, yeah, a lot more welding and metal shenanigans, but you can see it's taking shape. So there it is. Okay, gussets, etc. Part 2. The titanium. Ridiculous. Just call it a welding. So, nickel tour. Cutting up the rest of the Peugeot frame and using it. We've got that kind of jam. Oops. This goes there. That's good. Bent this up. That just kind of rests in there, and you see it's notched like so. So that'll go good. And then here is the reinforcement for the steering. That goes here with this. So it's serviceable. I can pull this whole assembly apart, unbolt it, take the fork out, do the bearings. I gotta yank it all apart anyway to paint it, and I just want it serviceable. So if something goes wrong, you ruin a bearing or whatever, you don't have to start cutting the whole thing up after you painted it or whatnot. So that's where we're at. So we're gonna get in on that action right now. As you can see, I don't really bother editing videos. It takes too damn long, and I'll tell you right now, nobody cares. You can put hours into editing a video, you know, 100 people watch it or something. I mean, what's the point of slaving away on something like that for hours and hours? So I just take little pieces and I cobble them all together, and you know, there's going to be some real boring sections, and that's okay. But I'm not going to spend hours of my life editing videos for, you know, 12 people. Even if I had a shit ton of followers, I probably wouldn't change my format. Don't put your hand on the weld. Welded it. Tack, tack, tack. A little more than a tack there. That'll pick up strong. Okay. Make sure my body gets fully away from doing some PC. That's important. Like so. Kind of going quick down and dirty with this thing. You spend quite a bit more time when I TIG welding or brazing BMX cruiser of the looking pretty cool though. Okay, now let's move the camera. We'll do a flyover. Let's see here. And we get into perspective. Gotta pull back quite a ways. Probably getting car sick right now watching this shit. I don't blame you. Okay. More backyard engineering. Let's see if we can do it. Okay, that's in position. It wants to go kind of like that. That's okay. I'm cool with that. One of the main drawbacks of a MIG welder is you just get splattered, burned, ruined every piece of clothing I've ever owned after I got my welder. So I always look homeless. People try to hand me money on the street and stuff. Slag is flying off and landed on my leg, burning the shit out of it. Thicker than tack weld now. I mean, at this point, these are going to be part of the operation. And then this gap here, I just took a piece of sliver and stuck it in there. Kind of fill it up. And now it fell down inside the frame. That's good. Playing that game of Operation. dating myself with that one. Before video games, kiddies. Well, Pong was probably out by then, but I mean, I don't know about that. Okay, that's good. A little less to fill up. I may add another piece of metal there. This one's sticking out. There's a bit of a gap. I may add a piece of metal or just beat it in with a hammer and then weld it. Some of that'll go on here. That's good. That's good. And then now we're going to do the tricky part, which is the steering. You can see that. That's max. Kind of goes the other way. This also will probably help make that not happen anymore. So I want to get it like so. So I'm just going to tack this, I think, tack this first. It's a little tricky how I'm going to do this. You kind of need free hands to do what I'm doing. But there's no way to do that very easily. I gotta get the ground on this thing. So I think I'll just tack it. It goes like this. Like this. So I'm gonna tack it and then I can just bend it in position and then fill the rest. That's how you do things. No need to really engineer stuff. You can just guess. Right down the sock. Oh, so painful. Different hobby, I guess. Okay, now let's see what we're dealing with. That can come off. That needs to go back on here. Mess up the paint. Look at the patina on this bike. You ruined the patina. I hate that word. It's just rust. It's really expensive. So it kind of like loused it up, it looks like. That was how I had it. But that's bent. So no, I didn't. So you go bend it. And I have to tweakify it. I don't think I didn't tack it right at the right angle of the dingle. Drop and shoot. Bend it, get position I want. Now look back. It's got to clear. It's got to clear the frame. I have that nice and flush, and this is plenty nice now. Further out. Plenty of clearance. It's just, it's not doing anything except triangulating the material. So that steering apparatus, because that's going to be intrinsically weak. I'm just going to break that off and start over. I don't like that at all. Maybe try a different method. Eyeball it where I I need it to be here. It needs to be level. That needs to connect there, good. And out further, I got about a ½ inch gap. My concern is that this may create a binding, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Too much paint still. That's the only problem with building old shit. You gotta get all the paint off. So, I think this thing isn't level. So it's coming along pretty good. I got stuff tacked, partially welded. I'm going to have to make the bar still, and that's going to have to kind of come up and then over and not interfere here. So that's probably going to start about here and then just do a kind of deal. You know, but it can't interfere with the steering, so I have to be cognizant of that. Reinforcements, I got the triangulation in place and no flex. That works great. That was a big surprise, a good surprise. I got that there. So yeah, we're doing good. All right, I'm gonna get on it, do a little more in a little bit. Okay. About 6 hours worth of slaving away on this thing, and it's mostly welded up. A lot of cleanup to do, more to do, but let's see how it works without any load in it. If I can go around my tubing bender or not. Oh, yeah. That. That concept, here, wanted one. See, I didn't turn it the whole way, but yeah, just bitching. I'm gonna try it laden with some weight. I have some old Chevy cylinder heads over there I could throw in it, but just check that out. That's a beauty. Inside my brain into reality. There's a lot more to do, a lot of cleanup, getting rid of sharp edges, finishing all that, more gussets in the corner there. I just want to make sure it's strong, and I'm gonna have to come up with a platform of some kind. So it is a little wheelie. So if you put your weight on it very easily back here, so the monkey is going to have to keep up in the middle. I've still got to build a handle here that's going to be forward and kind of incline them to be out over the front a little bit to make the weight good. But yeah, this is a steering side hack. Someone else has probably already made one, but as far as I know, no. That's it for today. Alrighty, so I ground most of the welds, and now I'm doing the platform, and I think smart do the platform first because I don't know where I need to put the bar for the monkey, but the platform, I'm making a template out of cardboard first. Maybe a functioning pen would be nice. No. There we go. So, yeah, you don't want to cut up your metal or whatever, wood or whatever, until you have rough idea of what it's going to look like. Get shape. Better that it's a little on the big side than too small, obviously. Okay. Up here, like so. Okay, so I'm going to trim that shape out of the cardboard and see how it lays in there. Scissors, or I like Ginsu knife personally. This thing's great. Put it right back in the kitchen. Use it to cut up some onions or something. So, cutting towards myself. I know, I'm not supposed to do that. Very exciting video of me cutting cardboard with a knife. Boy Scouts, you lose a corner of your trophy ship. Fascists. They taught me the right way, and then, you know, as adults, I have the prerogative to just completely ignore all good advice. Stab myself with a steak knife. Sure. Now, if you screw this up and make it too small, you can just tape this to it. Lay it in there. So, it's not the end of the world, but start cutting into your material and do the same thing, well, you got problems. That's going to go on top. Lay it in here like so. Now that needs to get a little cut. dig the knife right into the cardboard with the glaze on there. Little lip is okay. Trim it. That to go up there. Get on that end. Secure it with these little guys. Got these for 50 cents a piece. They're useful for all kinds of things. Make a template first. Bar here, just so they have like something to put their foot on. Liking that. That doesn't need to be there. That looks pretty cool. I'm going to use this hunk of diamond plate that has been sitting in my backyard for well over 20 years. I've used a little bit of it, but I will never put this hideous shit on one of my vehicles. But for this and the theme, I think it'll be appropriate. So that's next. So, what I like to do is use it in the best way possible, and then use existing edges to save cutting, save time, wear and tear on your tools, yada yada. Okay. Just a smarter way to work. And then your remnant will still have a lot of usable bits on it. The dirty diamond plate and the Sharpie aren't playing nice together. That's okay. Really not leaving hardly any marks at all. See, pens are made for right-handed people, and I'm left-handed. A right-handed person draws the ink out of the pen, and a lefty pushes the ink. So, Uniball pens, ballpoint pens, none of those pens work for me. I have to use felt tips for everything, pretty much. Sharp piece of felt tip. This one's just being obstinate. Just lay on the ink.